Hey guys, what is going on? This is Wrestlelamia, back with another episode. The news never stops and neither does Wrestlelamia. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including a former WWE champion challenges Kenny Omega, Kevin Owens wants to jump off the SmackDown fist, indie wrestler Shawn has passed away, Chris Jericho predicts when AEW will threaten the WWE, Mickie James talks employee who tried to bury her, and more. Former WWE champion challenges Kenny Omega. Looks like Kenny Omega could have a new challenger for his AAA Mega Championship, none other than former WWE United States champion Andrade. Andrade made a video appearance at a recent AAA show, revealing he's in the company now and is challenging Psycho Clown as well as Kenny Omega. The belt collector, who holds the AAA Mega Championship in addition to the AEW World Championship and the Impact World Championship, could be in for a serious challenge. Andrade recently revealed he's participating in Federación Wrestling's inaugural pay-per-view, and his presence in AAA should shake things up there as well. According to Wrestling Inc.'s Eric Mutter, it's believed that Andrade will join the La Empresa faction. If the match does happen, Andrade may take a pay cut in AAA to work it. Diamond Dave Meltzer discussed the scenario during a recent Wrestling Observer Radio. What's interesting is they announced him for the Federación pay-per-view, so he's working for both shows for two rival promotions, and I know what he's getting for the Federación show, which is a ton of money, and there's no way he's getting that for AAA. I shouldn't say there's no way, but I can't imagine it. What that tells me is that Andrade really wants that match with Kenny Omega. Dave Meltzer is skeptical about a title change happening, remarking, "I don't think there's any way that Tony Khan lets Kenny Omega lose until he loses the AEW title." What do you think of this possible match, and who do you think would win? Let us know in the comments below. Kevin Owens wants to jump off SmackDown fist. It's Throwback SmackDown on 7th May, and Kevin Owens is ready for anything, as seen by a tweet in which a fan asked Kevin Owens if he would jump off the SmackDown fist. Owens replied with a simple yes. However, is the WWE bringing back the legendary giant fist that once adorned the SmackDown set back in the day? According to Ringside News' Steve Carrier, the WWE is still trying to figure out just what is in store for this Friday. WWE is holding a Throwback SmackDown, but what does that mean? It turns out that nobody knows backstage either. When people asked, they were just told that they'll be updated this week. The WWE Universe knows that this is nothing new for WWE, which books shows on the fly and often throws out big announcements with no idea on how to make them happen. Wrestler Shawn passes away. The wrestling world has lost yet another beloved colleague as Shawn has passed away. The Twitter account for Countdown City WrestleCast tweeted the sad news. "We are saddened to learn of the passing of Shawn Such an amazing talent in the wrestling world that was taken way too soon. We're gonna miss him so much. Our condolences to the family and friends of Shawn." Ember Moon tweeted her dismay at the news. "Damn, another friend passed away and this one hurts. Such a beautiful person inside and out. Always had a great sense of humor and helped anyone who asked. I hate that we never had a singles match. Hashtag RIP Shawn Ringside News is reporting that Mr. last wrestled in 2016 and was working on music. He competed in the ring from 2007 to 2016 on the indie circuit, including Anarchy Championship Wrestling. Shawn was 42 years old. The cause of death remains unknown. Wrestlelamia extends its heartfelt condolences to Mr. friends and family. Chris Jericho discusses when AEW will threaten WWE. AEW is doing well right now as the 2-year-old national promotion has become a solid alternative to the WWE, with a weekly TV deal, pay-per-views, and a deep roster of wrestlers ranging from young stars to veterans. However, when will AEW pose a threat to WWE? Former AEW champion Chris Jericho discussed this with Dave Meltzer during an appearance on Wrestling Observer Radio. There's no guarantee that AEW will be around past our television deal ending, but if we keep doing the numbers we're doing and telling the stories we're telling, the next deal might be even bigger than the last one. Then you're really dangerous because our show is better than their show. I'm just telling you, I'm being completely honest, it's better than their show. Le Champion's remarks that AEW might not be around after its TV deal expires may seem surprising given AEW's strong ratings, but the reality is that TV and cable networks are finding it more expensive to license content, whether it's the NBA, the NHL, or professional wrestling. Dave Meltzer noted in this week's Wrestling Observer how TV outlets prefer so-called prestige content such as the NBA and NHL, even if its ratings are less than wrestling. As a result, they'll spend money on this type of content first, even if it means dropping wrestling. That's not to say AEW is going out of business, but even if AEW's ratings continue to succeed, it may have to find a new home. Jericho discussed how Dynamite is likely going to grow now that NXT has moved to Tuesday nights. I think people will continue to check us out, especially now that they don't have to make a choice on Wednesday. Last week wasn't as good with the presidential speech, but I think that we've really shown that we did earn a chunk of that NXT fan base. Now that they've sampled AEW, they will continue to be there for us as we continue to grow. Do you think AEW will ever pose a serious challenge to WWE? Or is the WWE too firmly entrenched as the #1 pro wrestling company? Mickie James reveals current WWE official tried to sabotage her career. Mickie James' abrupt exit from the WWE, as well as the company delivering her personal belongings to her in a garbage bag, still has Mickie's fans outraged. However, the multi-time world champion both in the WWE and TNA wrestling revealed more disturbing details about her run in WWE. James appeared on the Grown Ass Women YouTube program, explaining to Victoria and SoCal Val how she lobbied for an all-female wrestling brand and was shot down, something previously reported. Apparently, this WWE official made life miserable for James. I will say this, the person that is responsible for me feeling like I feel like completely trying to sabotage or devalue me or make me feel less than is still very much employed. And that's the f***ing worst, you know what I mean? This isn't the first time that someone has complained about the toxic work environment in WWE. What's next for James remains to be seen, but don't be surprised to see her back in wrestling as soon as her non-compete clause ends. WWE superstar accuses John Cena of burying him. Did John Cena bury the Nexus? While there are different opinions on this, one former Nexus member is claiming that John Cena buried him specifically. During an appearance on VOC Nation's Talking Sass podcast, former WWE superstar Michael Tarver discussed his successful run in the WWE's developmental territory and what happened when he hit the main roster as a member of the Nexus. The irony of how WWE works, you could be the man or the woman in developmental, and when you get to the main roster, it doesn't matter how good you are. If one of the main people there don't like you, they will do everything they can to bury you. I got to the main roster and just got buried. Tarver explained that, "It was Cena. I don't have any heat with him now. I make jokes about it. But there was a target on my back. I don't know why he targeted me, but it is what it is. We ended up on good terms, but I had to defend myself a lot. Everyone was high on me, then all of a sudden they turned on me. People wouldn't shake my hand. They wouldn't even speak to me." Tarver commented that a number of fellow wrestlers supported him, including Mark Henry, MVP, and Matt Hardy, encouraging him to get through the rough patch. Unfortunately, the Nexus star was later sidelined by a groin injury and ultimately released in June 2011. Whether it's Hulk Hogan, Triple H, or John Cena, certain WWE superstars have gained a reputation for utilizing their golden shovel to bury opponents. While there are always two sides to a story, the number of stories of these wrestlers allegedly using their stroke to hold down other wrestlers reminds some fans of the saying, "Where there's smoke, there's fire." WWE working with other promotions? While the WWE has said that it's open to working with other promotions, fans haven't been holding their breath waiting for that to happen. However, that could change, as Dave Meltzer reported in this week's Wrestling Observer that they're in talks with MLW, and it's along the lines of the old Evolve deal, or to a degree, the 90s ECW deal. The idea is to get some of the developmental guys who aren't working on NXT television some work. There is also the idea of creating their own Evolve-like group as a weekly streaming show, but this would allow the guys to work on actual television and get more exposure than on Peacock, and also seem like they are changing and modernizing. The idea is also to alleviate the frustrations of so many guys on the roster who sign and then basically are never used, especially now with no NXT house shows, although that will likely be changing soon. The Melts thinks WWE also wants to ditch the stigma of refusing to work with other promotions, especially in light of how many other promotions are working together. The idea is people see AEW having partnerships with New Japan, Impact, and AAA, and they want to make it look like WWE is not set in its old ways and uncooperative in the real world. Whether this comes to fruition is a different story, but the mentality right now is there to work with other people. Do you think WWE is serious about working with other promotions? And if it does, will it be in any major capacity? Big Alexa Bliss rumor. While this falls into the wild rumor category, there's talk that Alexa Bliss could finally reveal Lily's identity on the 3rd May Raw. According to Sportskita's Riju Dasgupta, Alexa Bliss may make a big announcement on WWE Raw this week. The mysterious and terrifying doll Lily, who we've seen terrify one and all in past weeks, may be none other than Nikki Cross. Cross seems to be the current favorite for being the real-life version of Lily. For now, fans will have to wait and see how WWE books Bliss's new partner in crime. Why no one used the pirate ship at WrestleMania 37. Last but not least, WrestleMania 37 has entered the history books, but fans are still wondering why none of the wrestlers involved on either night utilized the giant pirate ship located at Raymond James Stadium. The giant structure seems irresistible to superstars such as Kevin Owens or Shane McMahon, who love to make incredible high spots at WWE's Show of Shows. You may recall that Kevin Owens said he wanted to take a dive off the pirate ship during his match against Sami Zayn, leading to fans getting excited about what they might see. However, Fightful Select reports 2 factors prevented this from happening. There were discussions between talent and creative throughout the week, but the match not being no DQ proved a big hurdle, and the weather was the final nail in the coffin. Kevin Owens injured his ankle at WrestleMania 36 when he dove off the WrestleMania sign during his match against Seth Rollins, so it's understandable why WWE didn't want KO taking any risks off a potentially slick pirate ship. Well guys, there you have it, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know in wrestling. What do you think of these stories and rumors? Be sure to leave your comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel, follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and I'll see you next time for some more wrestling content.